How Jackrabbit Got His Very Long Ears by Heather Urbinitz. How Jackrabbit Got His Very Long Ears. In the beginning, the Great Spirit made the world. He made the oceans, the mountains, the lowlands, and the forests. Then he mixed a bit of red clay with sand and blew it in each of the 4 directions. And the great desert of the southwest was formed, with dabs of paint here and there for yellow and purple flowers, and grays and greens for cactus and desert trees. It was a very pretty picture indeed. Next, the Great Spirit needed a helper to run his errands on earth. After all, a desert isn't made in a day, and the Great Spirit wanted it just so for all the creatures he would put to live there one day. He needed an animal who was fast and smart and would be able to help settle the other creatures into their new desert homes. So he created Jackrabbit. As the Great Spirit worked to make each animal, he took great time and care, for beneath its beauty, the desert hid many dangers for the unwary. There were thorns on most of the plants. There was very little water, and almost every day the sun burned hot. For outsiders, it was quite a forbidding place. But for the desert creatures, it would be paradise. Jackrabbit's job was to take the animals the Great Spirit created and lead them to their new homes. On the way, he was to explain, as the Great Spirit had explained to him, just how special they had been made so that they could survive in the desert. However, there were times when Jackrabbit got bored, and he daydreamed about the days ahead when his job would be done and he and the other animals could gather and play. Because of this, he did not always listen carefully to what the Great Spirit told him about these creatures who were to be his friends. As Jackrabbit took the desert tortoise down to earth, Tortoise asked Jackrabbit, "Why is it that I am so slow?" Jackrabbit thought a minute, trying to remember what the Great Spirit had said. "Ah, yes," he replied, "it is because you are not as smart as I." "Oh," said Tortoise, and he sadly walked away. When Jackrabbit took Bobcat down to earth, Bobcat asked, "Jackrabbit, why don't I have a long, beautiful tail instead of this stump?" Jackrabbit thought a minute, trying to remember what the Great Spirit had told him. "Ah, yes," he replied, "it is because that was all there was. There were no more long tails left." "Oh," said Bobcat, and he sadly padded away. Then, as Jackrabbit brought Roadrunner down to earth, Roadrunner asked, "Jackrabbit, why don't I have the wings of an eagle so I can soar high in the sky? I am only able to fly from the ground to a tree." Jackrabbit thought a while, trying to remember the Great Spirit's words. "Ah, yes," he replied, "because you are not as important as the eagle, so you can't fly as high as he." "Oh," said Roadrunner, and she sadly fluttered away. When the Great Spirit had finished creating the animals, he looked down upon the desert to see how he had done. The animals had gathered to celebrate their new home. There was a lot of laughing and hopping and flying and jumping and general merrymaking. The Great Spirit smiled at what he saw, but then he noticed three little figures off to the side. Tortoise, Bobcat, and Roadrunner looked very sad indeed. The Great Spirit came close to them and asked, "How is it that you are so unhappy, my little friends? Don't you like your new home?" Each one nodded, but Tortoise replied with a tear in his eye, "I asked Jackrabbit why it was that you made me so slow, and he said it was because I am not as smart as he." The Great Spirit said, "Jackrabbit must not have heard me well, because you are special. You alone do not need to run quickly for shelter, because wherever you go, you are always home." "Oh," said Tortoise, with a smile on his face.
Oh.
Jackrabbit said, "I have a stump of a tail because you were out of long, beautiful ones," sniffed Bobcat. The Great Spirit sighed and said, "Jackrabbit must not have listened well, because you too are special. A long tail would only have gotten caught on all the thorns and kept you from moving quickly on your way." "Oh," said Bobcat, with a twinkle in his eye and a twitch of his short tail. With her head held low, Roadrunner sighed, "I am not important like the eagle in the sky, and that is why I shall never fly as high." That is what Jackrabbit said. The Great Spirit frowned and said, "Jackrabbit surely did not pay attention, for you are truly special. All that you need is close to the ground, and no one can travel as fast as you across it." "Oh," said Roadrunner, and she fluffed her feathers and flexed her toes proudly. As Roadrunner, Tortoise, and Bobcat joined the others, the Great Spirit was thoughtful. Perhaps I made Jackrabbit too quickly," he said to himself. Not only did he create misunderstandings with his fellow creatures by not paying attention, but a rabbit who does not listen to what goes on around him will not survive in the desert. So that night, while the animals slept, the Great Spirit changed Jackrabbit's ordinary rabbit ears to much longer ones. And to this day, if you try to sneak up on a jackrabbit, you'll find he has very good hearing indeed.